Hey guys, it's time. Let's talk about horns. Okay, so Horns is a movie starring Daniel Radcliffe, and it was directed by Alejandra Asia, I believe. I have it right here. Alejandra Asia? And it's based off of a novel written by Joe Hill, the son of Stephen King. Now, I have read the novel. I think before I even knew this movie was being made, I'd read the novel. But I just want to say, I don't want to compare the book and the novel. A book is its own medium. A movie is its medium. And I know it's hard. Some people, especially with bigger books, they want to compare the difference. But I'm not here for that. Movies are their own thing, and they have different things they need to convey that work better on camera than work on the written page. So we're just going to talk about the movie. Basically, the tagline for this movie is sort of just that or the synopsis, I guess, would just be that in the aftermath of this mysterious tragic death of his girlfriend, a young man starts to sprout horns. And that's pretty much what happens. Daniel Radcliffe. The movie is sort of a kind of a murder mystery. His girlfriend was murdered, and everybody in town thinks that he did it. Everybody is thinking that there's no possible other option other than that Daniel Radcliffe, whose character's name is Ig Parrish, that Ig is the killer. Everyone's convinced of that, except one man, apparently. His friend Lee, who is representing him as his lawyer. And he apparently is only doing that because he believes him. These two are completely in love, him and his girlfriend, and the girlfriend is played by Juno Temple. So what you're getting is this love story between the two and this tragic death and who did it. And Ig wants to solve the crime, not only to get himself off, he doesn't want to go to jail for a murder, but he also wants to know who killed his girlfriend and what is happening in this town. And he gets drunk one night at the site of her death, where everybody is coming to sort of give like a wake, sort of, or a memorial, and he's hiding from all the people there. And when they leave, he's been drinking, and he gets drunk, and he pisses all over the tree and breaks stuff, and he's just upset. And when he wakes up the next morning, boom, horns sprouting out of his head, and immediately, you can see that these horns have an interesting effect because the girl Glenna that stayed the night with him, who's been like a friend since he was a child, she knows the horns are there, but she doesn't really care, and she suddenly starts acting strange. And in the presence of these horns, people start like confessing their darkest desires to him and asking for his permission to go ahead and fulfill whatever their desire is, whether it's drugs or overeating or maybe even killing or beating or doing whatever it takes. They're wanting his permission, and they don't really seem to care much about the horns. And then he, of course, is freaked out, because who wouldn't be? You've got horns growing out of your head, and then people are telling you the most awful things and asking you if they can do things. And he just wants to get rid of them. He doesn't understand what's happening. And as an audience member, we don't really understand why. Why would this be happening exactly? What is going on? But eventually he embraces the idea that these horns make people confess things to him, and if they'll confess dark desires, then they must confess that someone was murdered, that they murdered his girlfriend. And so he decides, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and use these horns to try to just go around and ask people and see if who will finally confess to her murder. And in the meantime, he finds out what most people really think of him, including his parents, his friends, what all these people sort of really think about him in the situation. He selfishly sort of uses the abilities he gets. And I enjoyed this movie. I think it's a good movie. The murder mystery part of it isn't completely, I would say, like, out of left field. You don't sit there and go, oh, I would have never guessed that is the person who did it. How could that possibly be? I don't think the hiddenness or setup is entirely done well. You get a few flashbacks in the movie of how him and his girlfriend met and how things interacted with his friends and sort of how they came to be who they were. Ig and what sort of relationship they had and how they affected people. You get some flashbacks to see sort of how all that happened. And then you do get some strange things like snakes. Suddenly he starts having an affinity for snakes, which is never really explained. I guess it just goes along with the horn thing. They're like, oh, he's got horns. And maybe in this whole power, horns are of the devil or evil. And so snakes go with that too. And so that's never really explained, though there are some great moments, I would have to say, with snakes. Heather Graham's got a great, not a cameo, but she's got a very small part in here as a witness to the crime, or not to the crime, but she's a witness to some events happening between Ig and his girlfriend that sort of sheds not a positive light on Ig, and so she's got a big part. And I like Heather Graham, and I like Daniel Radcliffe, and this certainly is not Harry Potter. There's sex, he's swearing. And I like him. I like Daniel Radcliffe. So it's enjoyable to see him do things that aren't Harry Potter and to sort of break away and play darker roles and just, he's growing up to be an actor, basically. It can be hard to be a child actor moving into that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I think that's fantastic. I highly recommend the movie. I think it's good. The ending is not a letdown per se, but it definitely felt like... It felt strange, was all the ending. It seemed a little strange for what had been happening. I wasn't left feeling like, oh goody, oh boy, that's, what a happy ending, and then, yay for Ig. Yeah, but it wasn't bad. I don't know if I felt completely fulfilled by the ending, but I would recommend this movie. If it's in theaters near you, go see it. You can get it on iTunes. So that's a great way. If you don't want to go out, you want to go home, it's already sitting there waiting for you. And I'm going to give this movie a 1.5 thumbs. A half a thumb, that's why you should do A, B, C, D, E, F, right? Or I guess it would be A, B, C, D, F. Or a 1 through 10 scale. Well, I'm not doing that. No, I'm going to give it 1.5 thumbs is what I would say. I would see it. You've got to see Horns if you like. You've got some good gore in it. You've got nudity in it. You've got some just blatant violence that can be really fun. And then you've got the sweetness of seeing things about him and his girlfriend and how he's trying to fix things and solve her murder. And even though I don't think the murder mystery part is entirely super mystery, if you don't figure it out, it's still great for you. But even if you do, I think there's also the journey. It's about the journey the character has of trying to understand what's happening to him and use that to solve the murder. And then does he continue to not only solve it, but does he decide to get vengeance upon that? So, yeah, I say go see it. And until next time, watch more movies.